right here, this rambling, boring conversation.
Nope. Sorry. Cancel this. I'll edit that out. Sorry. I hit the wrong button. Here we go.
Captain, incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind.
Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
Moopsie.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the street lights spark. We're those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT Cannon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters of books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys.
And those sci-fi guys, we are indeed. I am PS McKay. We are back yet for one more time. We don't know when we'll be back next, but we are those sci-fi guys. I am PS McKay. I don't even remember the intro anymore. Shoot. Just see what we can do every lives and jobs and a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We're your hosts, like I said, and I was almost bear food last week, everybody.
And I'm DT Cavman, and you also would have then been bear shit.
Eventually, just, bear food plus time equals bear shit.
You would have had a first-hand knowledge on whether or not they do shit in the woods.
Oh boy, I would have. Yes, indeed. So I got video of it too. We'll show it in a minute. But how you doing, DT?
I'm good. Glad I didn't almost meet a grisly end.
It looked grisly. It was
about the color that your pants were.
Yeah, it's a good thing I wore my brown pants that day. Literally, I was wearing brown pants that moment. They weren't that brown, but they were.
They got brown later. Got it.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and share screen real quick. I know we talked about this last episode. We're going to be a little inconsistent for the next couple months, weeks. September will even out.
Hey,
for the next few weeks.
I'm free next week.
Me too.
In the next week.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but we came home. We were in South Lake Tahoe. We came home from dinner, and our cabin is like right over here. And we had a little surprise guest right over here. Go ahead and hit that. And
Okay, Bear. Hey, Bear.
There it is.
Oh, that's a big bear. That's a big bear.
So I was standing in front of my kids, telling the kids to get up the stairs.
Get the code ready.
1860?
No one in my family was nervous. I was the only one nervous, by the way. Look at the size of that thing. It's that's a black bear. It shouldn't be that big.
Oh, it's one of those black bears that's brown.
I'm getting video.
Video. Exactly. There are no grizzlies in California. So
it's on the flag.
I know. I know it's on the flag, but they were eliminated in the late 1800s.
That's bigger than most black bears I typically see.
Oh yeah. That thing was making its home around that complex too. So
are you sure it was an actual black bear?
Oh yeah, definitely. It wasn't. It was too small to be a grizzly.
Just walked around.
I know that, but there are other species of brown bear.
And then 2 nights later, that same bear was one deck over from where we were sitting, from our complex, just hanging out underneath that deck right there. Just insane.
That's a huge bear.
That is a big bear. You get a little bit more context. Like, here's the back deck. There's the lake right there. And this is our deck right here. This is the seat that's equivalent to right here. So
and what you don't understand is that deck is 8 feet off the ground.
It's pretty high up. Yeah, that thing, and it was sitting under there comfortably. So this is the first year that I had seen a bear in Tahoe personally. There, in that we stay in that complex every year, and there are allegations of bears running around every year, but this is the first time. Well, I say that because I didn't see them, but I heard people talk about, oh, we saw a bear last night and stuff. This is the first year. Yeah, this is the first year where I saw a bear, and we saw it multiple times. Like, I didn't see it the third time, but the third time we saw it was the second to last night before we left. And my wife and kids just went running after it, like with a whole group of other people. I mean, the thing wasn't going to go after anyone, and everyone was keeping a good distance. They weren't being like Taurons, if you know what I mean, like tourist morons.
Oh, I'm familiar.
But yeah, so but that was an interesting deal, because I would have been sitting out there on this deck looking out at the lake, and I would not have known I would not have had any indication that that bear was there. None. It's the craziest thing. So, but yeah, so that was my time in Tahoe, which was lovely, by the way. I love that place. It's the closest place to heaven on earth, in my opinion. That's my opinion, of course. They're everyone has their own. But it was lovely, and I love it, and I treasure that opportunity. So, how are you, DT?
Well, I wasn't close to a grizzly, but I did get face to face with a green monster.
Oh, yes, that's right. You had walk to home, right? Or what's it called?
It's the run to home base, but for
run
me
to home base
and the family, it was we walked it.
Yeah. How was that?
Team, well, we had 14 people there this year, which was actually, we had more than last year. We had 8 more members of the team than last year, and we had 4, maybe 6 more participating. Yeah, 4 more there in person. So we had 10 there last year. We had 14 this year, split pretty evenly between walkers and runners. We had some people brought their young kids. 2 6 and 7-year-olds. No, 6-year-olds were doing it with their parents. Meanwhile, my 15-year-old was with me, Mrs. Calfman, and we had a good time. It was really cool. The weather was gorgeous again. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, good.
They trimmed up the long-winded speeches this year, which was also good. Last year we raised a little over 10 grand. This year we raised over 17. So,
wow, that's almost that's a 70% increase, really. So
it is.
That's fantastic, man. Good job.
Thank you. We're really proud of that fact. I'm wearing the hat. This year it was green. Last year was blue and yellow. The year before was a different color. We didn't participate. The year before that, 3 years ago,
was,
black on black, which it's actually pretty cool because it's all this stuff, but it's all black stitching on a black hat. So it's really unobtrusive. This is, they're doing the green monster color,
Yeah, that's a good touch. I think that's the right thing to do.
Well, it's a different color every year.
Yeah.
The T-shirt this year, whereas, it had like the logo and everything on the front and on the back, like all the big corporate sponsors, for the last several years. This year, the shirt had a U.S. flag on one side and an America 250 on the other. So,
how cool!
Yeah, and it was last year was a white T-shirt. This is also a white T-shirt, but whereas last year it was like a black or a blue. It was something, lettering. This year was green camo lettering. So anyway, it was a good experience. We did the walk. We made decent time considering Mrs. Kathman is getting over an injury. So we were a little slower than years past, but we moved well. We stayed together. We come in through the gate, enter center field. You go down the monster, go down third base. We saw.
How was the grass? Was it spongy?
Well, no, they don't let you on the grass.
Quote from Fever Pitch. So.
Yeah, they don't let you on the grass.
I know they don't. That's a thing.
Like last year, former Red Sox world champ Johnny Gomes participated in the run, and then he stayed afterwards and took pictures and signed autographs. So we did that. My kid got her hat signed by Johnny Gomes, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
This year there was a sci-fi fantasy horror connection with the run.
Oh, really?
Yep.
In what manner?
Former Buffy the Vampire Slayer star Elijah Dushku did it for the first time.
My roommate had the biggest crush on her.
It's really hard not to have the biggest crush on her.
It's hard not to, yes. This is true. But that's funny. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
She actually worked. She's retired from acting and went back and got her master's degree in. I believe she's like a mental health professional now.
Oh, is she? When did she retire? I didn't know this.
She did, a few years back.
Okay. Was it pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Pre-COVID.
Because everything is defined by pre-COVID or post-COVID at this point right now.
I'm pretty sure she started pre-COVID. She is. She's retired from acting after getting her degrees in counseling. She now works as a therapist and mental health advocate. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like she married a filmmaker, and her husband, as I guess she started getting involved with, investigating mental health and whatnot, being a professional, she became like they produced some sort of documentary that followed former Navy SEALs as they dealt with like PTSD, depression, traumatic brain injury. I guess it came out last year on Netflix. I haven't seen it. I'm curious about it though. I think she might be working with Home Base, the organization Home Base.
Can you see me? I just out of curiosity.
I can see your logo.
You can't see me?
Nope. Aha.
Okay.
Here we go. So she is transitioned to mental health counseling and serves as a clinical and program development specialist at Home Base, Red Sox Foundation, and Massachusetts General Hospital program supporting veterans and military families. So
she's local. She's a New England local.
Yeah, she's from here. Even the character of Faith, I believe, was considered to be from Boston.
From Boston.
Buffy. But she is, she was born in Boston, raised in Watertown. So she's more North Shore. But anyway, so she was walking with her husband and her kids in like a group. She had like some group with their own shirts, like me and my coworkers did. But I was watching, I saw Johnny. He's a ripped former athlete who's still super jacked, huge beard. And then, later on, I'm like, well, she said she was walking. I mean, maybe she's blending in. And then, here it comes. Like, my wife's like, how'd you figure it out? Kind of sarcastically, because I had mentioned, her connection. And I'm like, oh, well, the giant camera following her around was also a dead giveaway.
Yeah, that's funny.
But there you go. There's our sci-fi fantasy horror connection there.
Yeah, no, all true. I don't know why I'm not showing up on camera, by the way. I apologize. I'm not at home, but that's really cool. So you got to see her. No opportunity for no. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
That's okay.
I wouldn't have gone over and
I wouldn't have either with my wife there.
No, that's not the.
I just kidding. That's a joke. It's a joke, DT. It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. Like Johnny Combs runs by. Hey, go Johnny! But he's known to go to Fenway just on his own, sit in the crowd and drink beer with fans, right?
Right.
So right. She's there. She's got her whole family with her. You don't want to be that person.
No.
If I was stuck standing in line behind her waiting to touch home plate, I would have just leaned out. Would have politely said, "Excuse me, I just want to say I'm a big fan and thank you for what you're doing." I'm a veteran who's dealt with things like some PTSD and combat stress and other things. So I appreciate and respect that. You can approach a celebrity and not be a douchebag about things.
True. I actually, speaking of celebrities, the only one I really ran up to ever was Mr. Ballin, and I sent you the text, the YouTuber. I don't know. You probably don't listen to him, but I introduced you to the idea of him when we were going on our cruise. I was going on my cruise.
Yeah,
the YouTuber
I'm
from
a
Quincy,
little
Mass.
familiar with him.
He just did this big interview with the Y-Files, AJ, and it was a really good interview. It was almost 4 hours long. It was just amazing. But he was talking about how, he talked about the struggle of PTSD and the losing. He felt like he was losing his humanity while he was in Afghanistan, and he was doing not illegal things, but horrible things that really affected him. And it was emotion. It was wasn't an easy listen. You could feel the emotion in it. But he mentioned, it's really weird because he mentioned, at the end of 2023, this is when I met him. This is when I ran up to him and I said, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Ballin?" At this random hotel in Florida. He was talking about how he was at his most frayed point. He was the top of the world. He was earning $10 million a year from YouTube views, by the way. And I'm and he's like, on paper, it was just perfect. I just inked in Amazon. I was in the process of inking an Amazon deal for $60 million. And, he was just afraid and losing his mind when it came to substance abuse and stuff. And I didn't see it on the cruise. He was a very nice guy. He was very gracious. I know that's a monster drink though. It's a monster drink.
It's not Monster. I wouldn't be drinking it at 10:30 at night.
I know, right? That would be at our age. That'd be a terrible idea.
But it is a local.
Yeah. But he was talking about how he was struggling at that point. But he was very nice to me. Shoot, I'm sorry. I just completely deviated from your conversation. I didn't mean to hijack it.
It's fine.
He was very nice. It was a very influential interview in my brain. And he's
was it an interview or was it just an interaction?
It was a 4-hour conversation. So
you're talking about what you watched, not when you met him.
What I watched. No, mine was an interaction with him. And actually, he recognized me when I was on the cruise later. but I didn't want to bother him.
You're P.S. McKay from those Sci-Fi guys. I love you, dudes.
No, I thought about talking to him though about our pod, but I wasn't going to tell him what our pod was, because I didn't want to be that guy. I just wanted to tell him like, yeah, like we started this pod. My buddy of mine, is also retiring from the services, and it's a great thing to do. It's a fun thing to do, So, but I didn't do that. I didn't do that, and I ignored seeing. I pretended I didn't see him later, because I wanted him to just have his life. I wanted him to just just to go on like being a normal person. You know what I mean? Because I don't get pleasure of bothering someone, so to speak. If that makes sense.
I mean, if it's something like, whoa, you run into a celebrity, like you're stuck on a cruise ship or something with them. The best thing you can do is if you're walking by him, if he catches your eye, you just give him a nod. That's all.
Yeah,
it's an acknowledgement. But you're giving him his space, and I think he'd respect that as much. Like if you're just walking by going, oh, hey, look at the squirrel. We're on a boat, dude.
Well, I mean, I was chasing my children to the slide. So I had my sunglasses on, and I looked tired. I was tired. So I kept my head a little down as I was following them. But in my periphery, I saw him. He was standing on the side rail, and he was looking around, and he looked at me, dude. And then he did a like, oh, like he saw me, and he did a like, he didn't like acknowledge me. He just was like, he reacted like, oh, I remember that guy. He didn't do the, hey, what's up, kid? He didn't do that. If he did that, I would have, hey, hope you're having a good trip.
Hey,
I would have done something like that. Yeah.
I
mean, he's from Quincy. It would have worked. So.
Hey, kid, how you doing?
I'll send you the link. You might not want to listen to it. You could, but it's a fascinating interview to listen about him. He went to UMass Amherst. He was a complete mess up as a kid and a college student, and he really turned it around. Like a very inspirational story. AJ from the Y-Files really gets it out of people. So, probably better than Howard Stern.
Going, why? No. Like a 6-year, like a 4-year-old.
No.
Why?
No. The Y-Files is more of a paranormal, like explores the paranormal stuff, and then he debunks it. Like, but is it true? And then 90% of his audience tunes out of the rest of the video because he's debunking it. But it's a fun analysis. I watch the whole thing because I like his analytic mind. I'll send you the link. It's a very good thing. I'll put it in the link in YouTube too, just for fun. So we'll do that. But okay, shoot, there's something going on with my mouse. What's going on here?
So, folks, just in case you didn't hear from P.S. McKay, we are going super lo-fi on his end.
Yeah.
If you were ever nostalgic for the first year or two that we recorded, welcome back.
This is it right here. So I am not in my home right now, as you can tell by my background. There's a baby grand piano behind me. That's not mine. But I'm at my in-laws. The house is being repainted right now, and I don't know where my microphone is. I lost it. My really nice Yeti microphone. I have no idea what happened to it. I apparently forgot my charger for my computer, which I just now put in. My wife was able to grab it at the house and give it to me recently. So it's a thing. So sorry, but couple things we want to start out. We're going to talk about the first 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds, season 4. I do want to touch base though on Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which you and I have not seen, but I think it's newsworthy enough that we need to just talk about it just a little bit. What do you think?
Sure.
So, have you been following the box office for this thing?
Last I heard, it was doing well.
Exceedingly well, to the point where Brand New Day beat Endgame. And actually, we're not just talking like inflationary ticket prices. We're talking number of tickets sold Endgame versus Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man was not in IMAX in most places, as opposed to Endgame was. And more people saw Spider-Man Brand New Day than they saw Endgame in its opening weekend, which is crazy. It earned over $1 billion.
You know, I think there's a couple of things that make sense to me about that. First, Endgame came, of course, pre-COVID, where there were probably more decent movies to go out and see at the same time. Theaters were probably way more packed. People were going, and there were probably more and better choices. I would have to do a little further research, but just as a quick thought process, because right now, like I could go and look at a movie, theater and go, there's really not much. I want to see, like when we were kids, there used to be sometimes they'd be like, oh, there's like 4 movies out right now I want to see. Even in in my 20s, it's like, oh, there's a lot
Little
of
Giants
things I want to see.
Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year. Kid in King Arthur's Court. Sorry, but enough about the kid who played Rosenblattner.
Yeah, he hopped out at a Savannah Bananas game.
That's why he was top of mind. Yeah. So I'm glad you caught that, though. That's good. That's why we do the pod. That's why we do the pod. So, I just want to put a little fly in your ointment in your explanation. I do think you're correct. However, I have a photo that I don't have easy access to. Every single movie house in my theater when I went to see Endgame, except one. So we're talking like 19 out of 20 movie houses in that theater had Endgame. Just for that weekend, by the way. It was just for then next weekend they brought like half the movies back. Like they took out. I don't know what it looked like for Spider-Man this weekend, so my argument is hollow at best when it comes to that. But you and I both saw Spider-Man No Way Home in December of 2021. That was still at the height of COVID. Like, I think we were all still required to wear masks when we went. I think.
Only if you weren't eating. So if you're literally shoveling popcorn into your face, like people were, it was getting a little more lax.
It was on the lax end, but that was the first movie where it earned $1 billion, and it had a smashing opening weekend. And people were like, okay, well, the movies are not dead. The movies are not dead. And I remember my wife, and at the end of October, she said, well, you better buy those Spider-Man tickets because they're going to be sold out that opening weekend. She was excited to see it. And I made them do the homework by watching all the Spider-Man movies. Because you need to for No Way Home. So this, I mean, it's nice to see that Spider-Man still has his cachet. And people are willing to go see movies in the theater if there's something worthy of watching, which is nice.
I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of different movies over the last year or so. Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, Sci-Fi. I'm not afraid to go, hey, I'm going to go watch this movie.
Yeah.
If it's like a Saturday morning or Sunday morning or something where it's like there's nothing really going on, I can go at an 11 o'clock show and I'm back by 1:30, 2 in the afternoon or something like that. It's not bad. You're not missing a ton of time with the family.
Yeah, if I can see a 10 o'clock show and get it out of the way, yeah. I mean, most of my kids sleep till noon now. Most of my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly my kids sleep till noon now at this point.
My kid kind of does some of that too. This last weekend there was literally no chance. We were at her year-end meet, and it had to be there at 7:30 on Saturday and Sunday. You're there until at least 1, sometimes later. It's exhausting.
Busy
When you come
weekend.
back, we had other things that we had to get done. Yeah, and it was just then you're like out of energy. My kid from the races and all of us from just being in the heat and the sun and just like standing on concrete trying to, watch around hundreds of people to see your own kid.
Yeah.
But then, this weekend, I've got a special event on Saturday, but Sunday may be my day to see Spider-Man.
I think I'm going to make the effort too this weekend. So I think we figured out our pod for the next week. Hopefully.
To quote,
I gotta work it out with the missus, but
whatever my nephew calls him,
Spider-Man.
He really, like the young kids watch this Amazing Spider-Man and His Friends or something like that.
The old
Disney.
one, the older cartoon.
No. There's a new computer animated Spider-Man cartoon that's aimed at toddlers.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends or something like that.
Yep.
So he
Interesting.
really liked.
So he's got his own thing.
Oh yeah. He also likes the fact that Uncle DT was in the Army. That's a new thing for him.
And as he should like, because goddamn, that's some bragging rights right there, sir.
He's been wearing the hat I gave him on the 4th of July, pretty much nonstop.
Oh,
and they went to like a dollar store the other day, and there was like this cheesy toy with a soldier sticking out of a Humvee, and he wanted
really?
Because Uncle DT was in the Army.
Yeah. Well, I think, sir, you have an admirer, to put it lightly.
You could buy me a soldier suit?
Yeah.
I guess I am now.
I guess you are. I think you are. Pretty soon you'll be taking him out on the range next year. No.
He does want me to introduce him to real soldiers. I'm like, what?
Oh boy.
I'm a real soldier.
Yeah. Well, more real soldiers. Like you're a soldier in theory that he's very proud of, but he wants to see other ones too to gauge the variety. So
if only we were living somewhere close. Like if we had never moved back to Massachusetts, we were living in Texas, I could have had him come visit. I could have taken him to a huge military post. Now the closest thing I have is an Air Force base or a Navy base, and I'm not really playing that game. So
not quite welcome there.
might have to reach out to my buddies who are in the Rhode Island National Guard, or my buddy who's in the Massachusetts Army Reserves, and see if I can get a little help there.
Well, if you can pull that off, I mean, that would make his day. It would. So, how fun! That's great. I'm happy for you, sir. That's fantastic.
You do what you can.
Exactly. 90% of doing anything is just showing up on the men's side. Just being there. So on that note of just showing up, guess what else just showed up?
Strange New Worlds.
Yo. Pike on a horse. And by the way, I gotta say I did like his was it safari uniform to Pandora.
Well, Anson Mount does like horses. I saw an interview with him recently where they were talking about, have you met William Shatner? Some of these others, because it's the 60th. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, what are you talking? It was like, I've met with him. I've talked with him, and and one of the things I just talked to him about horses because I know how much he loves horses, and he'll talk your ear off about horses.
Yeah,
but
I don't think there's a bigger like horse enthusiast than Shatner.
Please, and he's talked about that. This was, I think it was maybe on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, that Bruce Campbell interview on that podcast was fucking amazing.
We'll have to talk about that another time because that was great. Yeah. That one bit that you shared, I saw it before you sent it to me. But yes, that one bit was just that put a spring in my step for the day.
It did too for me, and even though it was at like 9:00 at night, I mean, it was very uplifting. But things to remember about Anson Mount is he was the star of a Western for 5 years, for 5 seasons. Hell on Wheels with Colin Meaney. They were the 2 leads of that show.
Forgot. Gonna forget again. But yes, it doesn't diminish the work on it.
No, I clearly the character of Pike had been established all the way back in the 60s to have had horses, to enjoy horses. You see him in the pilot episode where he's kind of hanging out in his cabin in Nevada with a beard, riding horses, and now here you are. And you see Pike, Pike literally blows off the initial transport. He's like you're out of range. He's like, let's just ride for a while. The interesting
in this episode. And
this is really, it's just a teaser, really.
Yeah.
And Benga and La'an as his cohorts is I mean, you understand it, right? You have your chief of security, you have your medic, your
medical doctor, chief medical officer.
But it's like you can tell that a couple of these people are like, this is not my jam.
Yeah. I mean, they smiled when he said, why don't we ride a little bit further out and then we'll make sure we're clear of everything. What planet were they on? Is this a planet that we had seen before?
No, I think they just did it like that on purpose.
Because I think there's another. Here we go. Because we got all these floating rocks and shit right here. Like this. I mean, this is why I said the Pandora thing. Like they're just floating. Yeah. I mean, this I can kind of understand. Like that would be very alien, right here. But this I don't know. It's fine. Whatever. I mean. Visuals are visuals. It was a very expensive opening scene, by the way.
Sure. But it almost gives you a little bit of that old Star Trek wagon train to the stars vibe to it.
It was a reference to that, yeah, definitely.
And I'm okay with that. It wasn't heavy-handed fan service.
Wasn't there a planet of cowboys? Oh, am I thinking of Enterprise? I'm thinking of Enterprise.
Well, let's not forget the time that they got sent back to the OK Corral in the original
Strange New Worlds. Oh,
no,
in the original
series.
I'm trying to keep it to Strange New Worlds, but I keep mixing up the series here. So
the Cowboy Planet, the actual planet, it's one of my favorite Enterprise episodes, North Star.
Yeah, that was a good episode. It was a really good episode.
It was, and it just shows.
I think it was a 2-parter, wasn't it?
No,
just one.
But it was during the Xindi arc. It's just one of those things where it's like like if a good Western hits, it really hits. Like,
it did.
Say what you want. Fistful of Datas was schlocky fun. You didn't have to think super hard. It was really one of those light type of episodes. Patrick Stewart had always wanted to direct had always wanted to do a Western. Was it a little bit of a fluffy vanity piece that they were using a pre-existing set, sure.
Yeah.
I think they might have filmed parts of Briscoe on that.
They
had one of the actors.
Would have been around that time. Definitely.
I think it was the
which
exact
actor?
same time.
Wait, was it the guy with the long hair, the son
Pete.
of the guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he plays Pete in Briscoe.
That's
it
right.
took until like a rewatch in the last like 5 years of that episode to go. It's like the meme from
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
No, it's also almost the one
with
from
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a
Catch
Time
Me
in
If You
Hollywood.
Can.
Yeah, no, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Was it?
Yeah.
Damn. Same era.
No, it wasn't. It was like 15 years apart.
The movies were 15 years apart, but the eras that they were portraying were the same.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, man. I tell you, I kind of liked it. I was wondering how they were going to fit this Western episode. I think this made more sense. You get just a little snip of it. They don't have to overdo the plot or anything. And then it takes a hard left turn this episode. Holy shit. This episode was wild.
I will say one thing before we move on. I know that Pike is a horse enthusiast. He's an equestrian and everything. I liked that when he was beamed up, he was holding his saddle. That was kind of a reference to Picard.
Oh yeah. From Starship Mine.
From Starship Mine, which was Die Hard.
It was actually not a turn. That was actually a pretty decent episode too.
Oh no, I liked it a lot.
Super Troopers 3 is maybe on my list. Hopefully, I can see it this summer.
No, that comes out this weekend too. The problem is a movie like this is makes or breaks on the opening weekend.
You know what? I'm perfectly fine if I'm going in and there's only like 10 people in the movie theater for this one.
Yeah, but we want them to be successful. That's my point. Like,
I mean, sure.
More money opening weekend. Yeah. I haven't seen
I wish I could
2 yet. Anyway.
Look, Super Troopers 2 it felt at times like just a collection of vignettes that they had like a basic plot with, but it was still pretty damn entertaining. And I'd waited whenever it was 16. I almost donated. I was overseas, and Mrs. Cadman's like, "Are you sure that's really what you're going to do?" I'm like,
yeah, you're like, oh, crap.
I wasn't going to give them a ton of money. It was like 50, they had like a level. If you donated so much money, you got like, if you donate like $100, you got like a T-shirt or something.
Right? Yeah, something like that.
If you donated like $20, you got like a fake mustache. I mean, say what you want about these guys, but they kind of got it.
Anyway, so we don't really need to go through the plots of these things, do we? I mean, first of all, each episode is an hour long. Do you agree with the hour-long format now? I kind of disagree. I want the plot. I want the show to be in a 45-minute thing.
Look, I don't,
especially with episode 2, which we'll talk about.
I didn't have too much of a problem with them being, 55 minutes. If they're as long as the episodes don't drag, you know what I mean? Because
episode
when they
2
do,
dragged.
There was a few parts. Yeah, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But this episode, by the way, I know the episode is, I know the title of the episode, I think, is like Latin because it's
Valles Marineris.
I just kept thinking of Valar Morghulis from Game of Thrones. I kept thinking Old Valyrian or something.
Yeah. Now, Valles Marineris is actually a term that is used on Mars, I believe.
Yes, I know.
which, that's the point. So, like, the Enterprise gets thrown back in time 65 million years. By the way, like, it took them a little while to figure out that they were shot to 65 million years ago. And I'm sitting here at the very beginning of the episode, I'm like, okay, we know that basically the dinosaurs died out about 65 million years ago. Why couldn't they just say 70 million years ago? Well, there's a point to that. Play it off later. But
I actually
basically,
kind of liked what they did with this.
It was. I'm gonna say it up front, DT. It was a cute idea that was executed clumsily, but it was cute. It was a cute idea. I really want to like Strange New Worlds. They hurt me though. They hurt me big.
Yeah, they tease you. They hurt you. As the Spock turns, kind of needs to tone it down.
Jesus Christ, the whole all of the okay, first of all, I am not a fan of him and Kirk being Eskimo brothers. I am not a fan of that. Oh, you don't watch The League. I'm rewatching The League.
You mean because they each hooked up with the same person?
Yeah.
But he didn't. Kirk really didn't. It was an alternate
not in this timeline. I know, but still.
Timey-wimey. I know.
Oh, timey-wimey. I don't like the idea. It's kind of weird and gross. And I'm not a fan of Spock being so emotionally involved in relationships.
It makes more sense in like season 1, maybe even season 2. But as you progress, he should be making his way more towards that Spock you see in what is probably 2 or 3 years down the road. Okay,
maybe even more so. I mean, because he's older. Like he's older than everyone else his age so far, but
he's not. Spock wasn't like. Spock is probably similar in age to Kirk, maybe.
Okay, I'll grant you that. Maybe a couple years or 5 years older, but okay, they're still contemporaries. Okay, I'll grant you that. That's my bad.
He's not as much older than Kirk was than T'Pol was to Archer. Archer's portrayed as a guy in his like maybe early 40s, and T'Pol drops the bomb that she's in her 60s. Of course, they are Vulcan. So one of the things I always wondered is, would Spock's human blood actually decrease his life expectancy? It was always an interesting question. And in some ways, I think it might have been answered. The fact his father, who died from a horrific disease, lived to be over 200, where Spock, even though he gets spin back in time, and I know it was because Leonard Nimoy had died, didn't live near that long.
No, he was like, what, 180, 160 or
I
something
think he was
like that?
at least 150, but still.
Yeah, plausible. How can you, as a human woman with good conscience, have a child that would have a significantly shortened lifespan as a Vulcan?
Because it's probably the kid's still going to live longer than the humans.
Well, I mean, humans are living to 150 at that point. You remember McCoy? McCoy was there counter at Farpoint.
He looked rough too.
He did look rough, and
if I may say it, I do miss DeForest Kelly sometimes.
I know he's been gone He's been gone 29 years now. Ugh.
No,
can you believe it's been that long? Like 97. He was the first of the original cast to be lost.
Was it 97?
It was 97, 98 maybe. One of us can look in the Wayback Machine if we want to.
Yeah. Someone is looking. 1999.
99? Really?
Yeah, I seem to recall getting ready to go to college right around when that happened. But anyway.
That's a tough putt, man.
Yep.
I was very saddened by that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first one, right? So here's what I liked
Mhm.
about this episode, right? You have this thing where they're kind of thrown in, like they're not even in Earth's solar system. They're like doing some sort of investigation of some sort of wild
Quantum
solar
anomaly.
storm. Yes.
Yeah.
They're doing Star Trek-y stuff, right? Investigating a spatial anomaly. Right? That was their order, something that's rare in the Alpha Quadrant. They show up.
As Admiral April said, "Oh, it's going to be fun. This is the fun assignment." What's his name? Pike.
Admiral
What's Pike's first
Akbar
name?
should have been telling it, because he should have been on the other side of the room going, "It's a trap."
Yeah, right. What's Pike's first name? What is it? It's not
Chris.
Jonathan. Chris. Thank you. Sorry. He was like, "Chris, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun mission for you." And by the way, he offered Chris a Commodore ship, which, by the way, I was thinking about this when I was thinking about our conversation. I'm like, what the fuck is a Commodore? I'm like,
in the
hold on.
U.S.
I remember
Navy,
talking to DT, where a Commodore is somewhere between Admiral and not, but it's definitely not between a captain and an admiral.
It is actually. So in the old U.S. Navy, a Commodore was, in some ways, it was also at times an honorific position, where like if you had multiple ships under you, you were called a Commodore. Okay, it could be a temporary rank in some ways. Star Trek, bounces around with the weird fleet captain thing. Like that was, they can't promote him to admiral because it kind of tanks, the menagerie to a degree. I mean, supposedly, right. But because he was fleet captain. So what does that mean? They touched on that all the way back in season 1. In the old U.S. Navy, leading into probably right around World War I is where they changed it. But Commodore, an actual rank of Commodore in the U.S. Navy, was the equivalent of a brigadier general, a 1-star general. So they were, it was a weird rank between captain and admiral. Whereas the Army has full bird colonel, the Navy captains wear birds too, full bird. Whereas the Army goes to a brigadier general, a 1-star general. The Navy's 1-star flag rank was a Commodore. Then they changed it to the even cooler Rear Admiral lower half. And if you get a 2nd star, you're a Rear Admiral upper half. It's even worse.
So there's no Commodore anymore?
JG. Not officially. I think it can be.
That sucks, dude. It's because Commodore sounds better than Admiral, by the way. That's why they did that.
Well, I mean, again, it's an older naval rank. It was a real rank. The problem is like, I think there's some like organizations that give you the honorary rank of Commodore, like a Kentucky colonel kind of thing. I think there's one or two like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like offering him basically a promotion, which is what they do to every captain of the Enterprise. Hey,
and every captain of the Enterprise turns that shit down. Not at the time, though.
Because they all saw because they saw what it did to Kirk. So everybody else said, "Nope."
Well, Pike didn't see that yet. Pike knows his future. By the way, he's like, he knows he's not going to be burned as a Commodore.
Yeah.
And by the way, this episode does play into the idea of what is fate versus what is free will. I thought that was pretty well done. I thought that was a very well done question of, like, were we meant to do this, or was this done by accident? Yeah, exactly. Predestination paradox. And
who taught me that? Deep Space Nine in the great episode Trials and Tribulations.
What if I was meant to be with my great grandmother? What, as Bashir said.
Yes. Or when they're talking to, when Cisco's talking to the two investigators and like, do you believe that you were meant to go back in time, like a predestination paradox? No. Good. We hate those.
Yeah. We hate those. Yeah. That was good. That was good. But this episode it didn't deal with it overbearingly.
No.
They just asked the questions at the end, like, and everyone was a little shaken up, which I guess we need to explain it a little bit. But basically, they got sent back to six. You do it, but be quick.
Yeah.
You know how to be quick about it.
Yeah. So the Enterprise gets basically shot back through this weird solar storm, and they get sent back 35 million years to the Cretaceous period of Earth. They don't know it yet. They need some sort of specialized mineral to help, I don't know, re-energize the warp core or something, right? Because they got sucked in when they were trying to identify a distress signal, right? And now they're kind of stuck floating a little dead in the water, and they're captured by these highly advanced race who are kind of tall. They kind of look like elves with ears, but there's a little bit of coloration. And, you know, like the captain's like, yeah, we're going to take your weapons. He's like, wait, whoa. So Pike is like tap dancing this whole time. Meanwhile, they're sending, they need this material. So like while Pike is trying to stall surrendering his ship and giving over weapons, he sends La'an, Ortegas, and number one down to the planet. And they land and they're like walking around and they're like, what is this weird giant creature? And then it's like, is that a dinosaur? So again, we don't exactly know it's Earth yet. Okay. But like, you could encounter a world that had some sort of giant megafauna, dinosaur-ish. We've seen it in a million sci-fi things before. But I'm like, it really, it definitely looks like an actual dinosaur. But, as they're trying to figure it out, the Enterprise is captured by these people who are like, yeah, we're from this planet. We're at war with this species, which is like an insect species, like hive mind that like goes from planet to planet and basically turns them into a wasteland. And Pike's like, well, there's got to be a way to reason with them. And she's like, that's cute. You really think that we haven't attempted that? He offers to help, but the Commander Castle, it turns out this is where they actually start to figure out that this is, oh shit, we're back 65 million years ago. That's Earth. Those are really dinosaurs. And these people are fucking Martians. And they're like, it's starting to blow people's mind. Like, really, Mars? Like, there was rumors. The
Barsunians. They were Barsunians.
They were not.
I know, but they made a reference to that, by the way, in the episode, which was cute.
What was it? Pike said, wasn't his favorite book or something?
A Princess of Mars. Yeah, which what Disney made into John Connor. Was it John Carter? John Carter. Thank you. Not John Connor. That was a different one.
That would have been a much different movie.
Very different, yes.
Actually, when I watched that movie, it was like a decade after it came out. I'm like, this ain't half bad.
It was a good movie, John Carter. It was fantastic. The problem was
another episode that started in the Wild West.
Yeah, it did. It's Civil War. Fantastic. We need to do a review of John Carter.
Here's another connection. John Carter he's a former Confederate soldier, right? Who ends up on Mars. Pike, or Anson Mount, is played by, Anson Mount played a former Confederate soldier in Hell on Wheels.
Well, there we go.
That was a predestination paradox, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. Good.
Needless to say, the crew on Enterprise is trying to talk the Martians out of this, blowing up the planet. Obviously, they're trying to protect their species. She's like, look, I'm not trying. I didn't want to do this, but I've got to. And then that's when they start ticking around. They're like, wait, what is this random planet they're using again? Oh, hold on. And then all of a sudden, like, things start falling into place. Like, I roughly figured this out about halfway through the episode, a little bit before the characters in the episode do. Like, oh, they actually have to let this happen because there's an extra planet here in the system. Things start dropping into place. I'm like, ooh.
Did you know this before they mentioned Soul 5? Because I don't think that they mentioned Soul 5 until they were going towards Soul 5.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, as I was watching it, I was thinking, hold on, I'm going to get my dog. I was thinking that the problem was, what was the name of the arachnid species? Tucker, come.
No, that's not the name of it.
The Dolstum. The Dolstum? Doldurm. Thank you. Tucker, come. Are you going to come? Okay. Sorry.
Please stop.
Sorry.
It's very disconcerting for my military brain.
I understand. And he walked away with his tail between his legs. Oh, my buddy. Anyway, the Doldrum or Doldum. What the hell were they again?
It's DOL''DRM. Doldurm.
Doldurm. I remember thinking as the episode, we were like 75% into the episode, and they're talking about the Doldurm. And they're talking about what a scourge they are, but we didn't get to see what they did, who they were, and what kind of threat they actually were. Because
you get a little
for
on
Mars,
like a screen in the background, and you hear them talk a little bit about it, but that's about it.
It wasn't very well executed, to be honest with you, and I was disappointed about that because it just felt haphazardly thrown. Like in episode 1, Phantom Menace, where the Trade Federation is saying your people are dying, but we don't see the people dying on Naboo. You know, we don't see the suffering. We don't see the bodies in the street. We didn't see that here, which we don't need to necessarily see it exclusively. Like, just do a couple cut scenes, maybe do a quick shot of like CGI Doldrum or something showing that. Just a quick one. It doesn't need to be crazy. I mean, Voyager wouldn't have even shown that. I know that. But they would have explained it a little bit better. Does that make sense?
It does. I think they spent all their money on horses and dinosaurs, so bugs.
They totally did. They totally did. And by the way, I'm pretty sure that Henson Company did the Velociraptor head.
Yeah, which was pretty interesting when you see La'an punch it in the face.
I know. But when you think about it, would a Velociraptor have ever experienced being punched in the face? No. I think it really would have been dazed and confused and been like, I'm gonna walk away now.
But now they're really leaning into La'an's heritage, and there's more to follow with these.
Yes. Here are the Martians, by the way. By the way, little green men. They're not little, but they're green.
They're actually quite big. Like,
which actually makes sense. They should be tall. They're supposed to be tall because gravity is weaker on Mars. They shouldn't be stronger, though. They should be gaunt. They should be thinner. That bothered me a little bit. The Earthers should have been, the Terrans should have been easily be able to physically outmatch them. Technologically different, that's fine. That's a different thing. But continue. Sorry.
Maybe it's steroids, man.
Oh, I'm just saying, they made a point, like, no wonder we're stronger. Like, she said, well, no wonder we're stronger. Like, I mean, Pike even said, well, our gravity's a little bit higher, and so we grow a little bit shorter. Stockier, I think he said.
Well, here's the thing. Gravity ain't doing shit on his hair. It's getting higher every season.
Dude, you know what? Can I just comment about his fucking hair for a second? Where is it? It's here. Fuck, don't tell me that I'm not gonna get his hair. I'm not gonna get his hair.
Head.
Shit. Okay,
oh my
so
god, that
his
Vulcan,
hair.
that Vulcan pissed me off, man.
Oh yeah, that Vulcan was a pain in the ass. That completely. All right, all right. Well, let's talk about his hair first, okay? For a second, his hair used to be a wall, but then they made it
Wavy.
they not no they made
Cascading.
it a little wavy, but they made it oh, I know what you're saying now. I understand. Yes, it was a solid wall, but now it's in like pillars. You know what I mean? In a wave form. And why are they doing that? Why? Like that makes Captain Pike very vain. Okay? Because he's changing his hair almost every season. Like Pike is not a vain person necessarily. Does that make sense? I mean, every other aspect of his personality does not make him vain. That bothered me. It bothered me.
I'm sure we're gonna get a Johnny Bravo version of Christopher Pike by season 5. That's
We totally are. We totally are. The other thing with the
I
Martians,
think they're doing it on purpose because they know people have been talking about it for years.
Yeah, no, they probably did. Yeah. Question for you: with the Martians, did you get a Romulan vibe that they should have been able to exploit, but they didn't?
A bit, yeah. They were more. They weren't logical like Vulcans, but they were a bit more.
But they, the ridges, the ears,
intense.
the
green.
I would have expected a little bit more counter move between her and Pike, but in reality, it was just appealing to
her better nature.
Yeah, and it felt one dimensional in a sense. Does that make sense? Whereas with Picard and Tomalak, it was Picard, Mr. Worf, send a signal to our friends, and then the three Klingon warbirds.
That's different. That's a traditional adversary who you're squaring off with multiple times. Meanwhile, this is like a first contact where they're trying to sort each other out.
True. And I mean, you could tell they were not bad people, the Martians.
They were on the edge.
What were they grabbing from the Enterprise, by the way, to make the weapon? I forgot. I saw it twice.
Antimatter.
It was an antimatter
fuel cell.
Okay. Antimatter. It had never been established that an antimatter fuel cell was a planet-killing device. What did they? I mean, in theory, with something that size, yes, antimatter could literally destroy the entire planet. But in canon, it had never been talked about. And the Martians were the first ones to do it. So,
well, needless to say, Pike, things start going around, and as things are falling into place for them, they need some whatever MacGuffin material on Earth. They managed to collect some of the away team, and they rocket back.
The iridium.
Yeah,
they needed iridium to help power their fuel cells.
Right. But then,
which is important, by the way. We never heard iridium before in Star Trek being needed until this episode, and I'll explain why in a minute. But continue.
Holy MacGuffin, Batman. But then it gets to the point where, Pike is like, they're going to destroy this planet, and everybody's like, oh God, we should stop it, right? I'm sitting there screaming at the screen like, you guys are supposed to be more educated than me, and even I know they need to let that planet blow up.
Exactly. Sol 5. Like, well, it's headed to Jupiter. Well, it's not headed towards Jupiter. It's headed towards a planet between Jupiter and Mars. And everyone's like, well, we can't let that stop. And as soon as they said that, you and I are like, oh, that's the asteroid belt. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah. Cute, basically, by the way. Wrong, but cute.
They let the Martians take a piece of future technology, blow up a hereto unknown planet, created the asteroid belt, decimated Mars and wiped out the Martian race, a fragment hits the Earth, causing the dinosaurs' extinction, and the Enterprise warps back to its own time. And everybody lives happily ever after.
Well, I would say that at first they're a little all shaken up by the idea that they caused their own existence.
But they have the right captain for it. With that Johnny Bravo Elvis style hair, he can be all shook up.
They were all shook up, that's for sure.
But then, after this, 50 minutes after this awkward Spock-La'an exchange, we get the La'an explaining to Mbenga and Christine that she busted her hand punching the dinosaur in the face, and it doesn't bother her. And he's like, definitely feeling some aggressive tendencies, Captain. So her augment DNA, her Khan DNA is starting to activate.
So we're gonna have some kind of subplot for the rest of the season with La'an, and she's probably gonna have to be exiled or something, so we don't ever hear about her again. This already takes place in an alternative universe. We all know this. That being said, I was watching this episode with my son, Mack Jr. He was irritated that the dinosaur plot was basically a C plot. There was a whole book by Diane Duane, I believe it was Diane Duane, that wrote about the original Enterprise crew going back in time to about 70 million years ago or something like that to Earth, and dealing with dinosaurs and stuff. It was a good book, by the way. It was very decently done. You and I wrote a book that was Star Trek
good until Kirk seduced the female Velociraptor. That was
it was a Trudon, by the way. It was a Trudon, not a Velociraptor, but yes, gross. The dinosaurs are almost superfluous in this because, so they were trying to get the iridium from an area they didn't realize was a crashed ship from the Doldrum or whatever. Doldrum. That's a stupid name. I can't remember it. That's why it's such a bad name. It's a bad name. You have to have something reminiscent to a real life word. The Doldrum. They were able to recover the iridium from the Doldrum, and the Doldrum were using iridium from their planet, which powered their stuff. And by the way, I guess the Doldrum were these arachnid species that would have conquered the whole galaxy as a plague kind of thing if they were allowed to continue. Fine, interesting. I think blowing up the planet was a good idea if that was going to be the case, if they were going to be a plague. The reason why they used iridium as a signature to use as the plot point or the carrot dangling was because we have the K2 boundary, where the asteroid that landed in the Yucatan Peninsula had a lot of iridium in it, which came from Sol 5. That's why they said iridium, by the way. Did you catch that?
I did not know that, but that's fine.
Yeah. So that's why they were saying iridium. We had not heard iridium. We had not heard about iridium being an energy source in Starfleet at all until this episode. And that's why they did it. I mean, it's cute. I'm not going to fault them for it. It's a connection that I'm pointing out. What was the other thing I wanted to point out? Because we already talked about the predestination thing, and I liked that discussion. That was a good discussion. I mean, even Ortegas was like, so were we meant to do this to create ourselves, or did we interfere with the creation of ourselves? And by the way, Ortegas seems to have a lot of the piss taken out of her. They changed her. She's different.
It was that time on the Gorn planet, the crash down the enemy mine episode with her and the Gorn.
I didn't see it. I missed that one.
And now you know why.
And now I know why. There we are.
The more
Okay,
you know.
that's fine. She's still an awful character, but I still don't like her. She's a little bit more tolerable now.
Well, anyway, the Enterprise caused humanity's the only person who ends up happy is Una,
because she got a promotion to full on commander. I didn't know she was lieutenant commander.
It kind of annoyed me for basically she's been, a long time second in command to Pike. Like this is supposed to take place like at this point, something like 8 or 9 years after the cage. And it's like she didn't even earn a promotion with all the shit she did before she got exposed.
No, and also she actually entered Starfleet fraudulently, so she shouldn't be there technically. I mean, blame the writers for that. That's not my fault. I'm just pointing out the truth. That's bad writing. But yeah, I mean, fine. Okay, so he turns down the promotion to Commodore, which I guess you can. But why does he take that promotion? Yeah, exactly, DT. Exactly. But he's like, I'm going to take that promotion. I'm going to turn it on to someone else. I'm going to take your promotion to me, and I'm going to pass it on. And it's like, no, doesn't work that way. Whereas Picard's like, Will, why the hell are you still here?
Because plot reasons.
Plot reasons. What do you think about this first episode grade-wise?
Entertaining. I was entertained by it. They did something I was not expecting. I mean, I did get there, about halfway through the episode, but that's fine. I'd like to think that I'm a fairly sharp individual, but I liked it. I gave it a B+.
I'll give it a B. Maybe a B+. I'm kind of in the middle. This is the problem, knowing too much. And I'm not someone who says that I know everything. You know that. But the Doldern, the planet has 2 moons, and they destroyed a planet and 2 moons that makes up the asteroid belt. And it has been exceedingly clear that if you group all the asteroids together in that belt, they would not make up even a planetoid. So the mass of the planets, the planetoid and the moons would be way too high for an asteroid belt, even after 65 million years. So they went for a cute story. Scientifically, though, I got taken out of it. As I always do when it comes to Curse with Star Trek. Quantumly, they were using time travel, which is a cop-out because no one, not even physicists, understand quantum entanglements. They think they do, but they don't. I'll give that a pass. But that was a bit of a problem for me. And I thought that I knew that they knew they were being cute. They thought they were very clever by having the iridium being the signature and having that asteroid from the Doldern planet going into the Yucatan Peninsula to create the K2 boundary. Sorry. So I'm gonna give it a B+. I'm waffling. It's a thing, you know me.
Well, I always recommend butter and syrup on my waffles. It actually was one of the better episodes.
Just syrup for me.
For me, it was one of the better episodes of Strange New Worlds in a little bit.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. This is me just being critical of the writing, knowing, oh, hey, listen, I know you're doing a decent episode here. Here's how you should be able to do it better at this point. But this is obviously them at their peak. So
still a better episode than even I was expecting. Not that I was expecting junk, but I was kind of glued to it. I thought what they did with the story was interesting.
No, agreed on that one.
But interesting. So you flip to the next episode. It's a straight up horror episode.
Is it horror? I mean, like, my God. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off. I apologize.
If you want to, it was at least a thriller. If not, it was definitely psychological. And I'm not going to lie, it is also the first of the contrived ways to get James T. Kirk into the season.
Seriously, it's like, Kirk's back, everybody, just for shits and giggles.
I really liked him in this episode.
I didn't. When I saw him, I didn't see him as Kirk. He wasn't Kirk to me. This is where I like Paul Wesley, right? I loved him in Vampire Diaries. He was great. Ooh. I know, I mentioned it before. He was a great character in Vampire Diaries. He actually should have been Edward in Twilight, to be honest with you. But that's between you and me. Don't tell the audience that. Anyway, I don't like psychological horror, and I really didn't understand the point of this whole thing. They brought, first of all, Kirk didn't know that he had a child until Star Trek 3.
No, he did not. If you rewatch The Wrath of Khan, when he's talking with Carol,
Star Trek 2, sorry.
He's like, oh, that's David. Like, he just didn't know him as an adult.
Oh, is it really that subtle?
Yes.
I don't like the idea that they made him that much of a deadbeat dad then in this case.
Again, a lot of it they lay on Carol not wanting, and she says, I didn't want him running around the galaxy like his father. It's not. Kirk at times gets a bad rap about being a lousy dad, but he kind of adhered to the wishes of David's mother. Like, she really didn't want him involved.
That. I can respect that explanation.
I'm not saying it's right, but again, they did it again with Jack Crusher to a degree. Although Picard did not know, and Beverly fell off the face of the galaxy for 20 years. But I mean, he has the kid that comes from nowhere. Worf has the kid comes from nowhere. Kirk knew he had a kid. You don't see it until Star Trek 2, but he did know.
Thank you for clarifying that. I missed that. So, but that's the problem. It was chewing me up this whole episode. I'm like, he shouldn't know that he has a baby, and I'm here. He's hearing this baby crying, and
it's a Mandela effect kind of thing.
Yeah. I basically, the plot is they show up to this. The future leaders of Starfleet, which are Spock and Kirk and La'an. That's it. Those three, right? By the way, her and her two Eskimo brothers, which that's what grossed me out at that point.
But this iteration of Kirk is not involved.
I
or was
know.
Never involved.
He rejected her. He rejected her because he was involved with Carol.
Right, and it wasn't like he rejected. Yeah, like he was honest with her. They had a good conversation. And he seems to be genuinely happy for La'an and Spock. Now,
Well, he is, because he doesn't have any feelings for La'an.
exactly. So it's less. I don't let that bother me that much.
But we saw it happen.
Honestly, we did. But again, it's a completely different thing. It does things to her, but Kirk has no memory.
Right. Well, he wouldn't because he wasn't involved. So
right.
Basically, we're dealing with they're coming back to rendezvous with the Enterprise, and then they get caught in some kind of asteroid field, and they come across the USS Griffin, which is part of Section 12.
No. So Section 12 is like their special investigations unit that like investigates weird phenomenon. That's what Section 12 is.
Kind of like the X-Files. Gotcha.
Basically. But the Griffin disappeared 9 years before. They were en route in the shuttle back from the conference, but I think they picked up a old distress signal, and that's how they found the Griffin. They went looking for it, which of course Kirk is partially lamenting in his log because it is causing him to miss the conference, and then now this is forcing him to miss time visiting David and Carol.
Right.
Which is basically on his head the whole time, in this episode. So they find it. They decide, as good Starfleet officers do, they're going to go check it out. There's no life signs. They beam aboard. The ship's power is somewhat there, but there's not much there. And then they hear things. They all hear things, and they all look around, and they all, and then they think they see somebody walking through the hall, so they chase it down. Nobody there. And they, in order to like get power and to try to figure out communications and to try to access logs and whatnot, Spock stays in sickbay trying to dig into one thing.
Well, they split up.
Right.
They split up to try to figure it out. Long story short, I don't mean to cut you off, but long story short,
Hold on, buddy. Your sound cut out. Mack, your sound cut out. I gotta be honest with you, somebody needs moisturizer. No, I'm talking about the picture on the screen. Anyway, dead air. Well, we'll just carry on. Yes, what they seem to find is this bizarre half zombified crew member who was their chief of security on the Griffin. 300 souls aboard the Griffin are missing. The Griffin looks like, I don't know if it's one of those Peregrine class that looks like a miniature Constitution class, or if it's another Constitution class, but needless to say, they split up and things are starting to pull their attention. Spock is trying to dig in to figure out what killed the crew, and discovers that something like 30 or 40 of the crew members were actually murdered. They already had discovered different types of phasers, including Vulcans and Klingons, which clearly did not go well. They also had, looks like close to 300 members of the crew were literally beamed into space. They pull the logs of the security chief, Harper, who is becoming increasingly erratic, believes there's something wrong with the crew. Like the captain, the doctor, they kind of turn on her. She claims they confine her to quarters, relieve her of duty, and she starts becoming more and more erratic and irrational. And La'an is getting like sucked in, and she's like now like almost feeling it, particularly because you start to see this her whole plot line this season is going to be the increasing of her augment DNA and you know, probably her attempts to find a way to reconcile with it and not go all full con on everybody. They're setting this up, and that's how we're going to not have La'an aboard the Enterprise when Kirk is there, which is a little disappointing because they didn't have a good chief of security, and all the red shirts died on the Enterprise. So, but now as La'an is separated from Kirk and Spock is still separated, now they're all starting to hallucinate. La'an is going to the Harper's quarters, reading her logs, and she's getting more and more engrossed and erratic. Spock is trying to, you know, is now hallucinating about his former love to Pring. Kirk's trying to communicate with the crew, and then he thinks he hears his son repeatedly crying, and then sees like a baby sinking into the communication console. And they all start realizing that, you know, things are they're starting to spin out. But La'an discovers, and Spock kind of with the information that Spock has discovered, plus what La'an has discovered, is that the chief of security killed the entire crew, and she's the one wandering the halls. Is she a ghost? Is she some sort of infected specter? We don't know, but it's wild. And now, all of a sudden, when things start looking bleak, a landing party from the Enterprise shows up. It's Pike and Una and Ortegas and Uhura. And it becomes, they kind of split up. And then all of a sudden, you start having these issues where, like, one by one, like the crew. Oh, and Sam Kirk shows up, and he's staying with his brother, and they're having conversations because they're both Starfleet brats, and you know they barely spent time with their dad, and they have little trinkets and whatnot from their dad when he was coming back. By the way, as a retired military, that part kind of hit home a little. Sam's like, I have like an entire box full of all these tchotchkes. But it's like, but that's more time than I ever had with Dad. So,
Testing. Can you hear me now?
Good.
All right. Sorry. 1 second. I gotta shut the door. 1 second.
So they're having a heart-to-heart about Sam has a wife and kids.
Sorry.
Jim's trying to figure out how he does this. You know, it kind of gets it. You know, it was kind of a nice interaction with the brothers, and then all of a sudden, like they start both kind of spiraling, and then all of a sudden, here comes, like Sam starts hallucinating. Jim's trying to, you know, ground him, and then the view screen cracked, and Sam gets sucked out, and it's pretty gross because like his organs get like,
everything about this episode was gruesome body horror.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah. I mean, you know, just ugh. Especially this. But I mean there were knives. I mean, Pike was cutting his fingers off at one point.
Yep.
This is supposedly the Griffin's captain
Harper,
who was top of her class.
Security chief.
Oh. Really? All right.
Yep. She was relieved of duty because she was acting erratic, and she's like, I've got to save the crew, and she ends up killing them all.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. There is a kicker at the end. Why don't you describe the kicker? Because they're kind of it's kind of a holodeck episode where they're stuck in a reality that they can't get out of, and it delves into their deeper psychotic issues.
Yep.
Each of them having their own problems. So Kirk dealing with the problem of being a father and not being there. La'an dealing with being basically a potential psychopath, and Spock, not being Vulcan enough and being too human, essentially. And
yes, but his conversation with T'Pring is that she realizes that he's too Vulcan and needs to be more human or something.
Right.
Like that.
Well, that's his fear. That's his fear. He wants to be more Vulcan, not human, and T'Pring, his ex, cuts off the tips of his ears, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Which I guess he did, but we don't know. A lot of things are unresolved at the end of this episode. We don't know if the stuff that happened to them they put upon themselves because they were psychologically distorted, like frame of mind. In TNG, or the episode with Miles O'Brien when he was incarcerated for 20 years.
Hard time.
Yeah, hard time. Or if we are dealing with an actual entity that is stuck on the Griffin, which at the end of the episode, they played with their minds. Like they pretended they whatever, and let's just say that there's an entity on the Griffin. That entity tricked them into thinking that Pike and Una and Ortega's,
the landing party came to rescue them.
Yeah, that a landing party came to rescue them. I don't know if you mentioned that earlier or whatnot.
I did.
But then they slowly turned on them and everything. And I'm not going to dwell on it. So
no,
it was
like Sam gets killed by, basically by accident, by debris shattering the view screen. Spock, on the other hand, now he's kind of like, they're all like, Spock is like witnessing, like chopping off his fingers. I didn't want to be captain. I'd rather be a chef. And Spock's like, this is insane. And I think, La'an accidentally is screwing up the transporter on Ortegas, and like Uhura has to shunt her into the pattern buffer, and it's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh no, I'm trying to help. And then, like, she accidentally stabs Uhura, who runs off, and like eventually, like, she kind of snaps. She's got this knife who Harper killed half the crew, or killed a bunch of the crew members with, and she ends up stabbing Kirk. Is about to finish him when they're all beamed away, and once they're aboard the Enterprise, where Kirk's basically bleeding out on the floor of the Enterprise transporter, La'an's just standing there with the knife, and she's like, what the fuck just happened? And like Spock's just kind of standing off to the back with like no tips of his ears, bleeding from his ears. Like, this sucked. What just happened? While Kirk is like, passing out from blood loss and ear pipe. Jimmy, you okay? Everybody's going to be fine, even though Kirk's still laid up in the hospital.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. They all kind of lie. Are you going to be? I'm going to be fine. No, you're not.
There was a good 10 minutes at the end of this episode where everyone was trying to have this reconciliation of this psychological mind freak that they had, which never would have been able to be afforded in the 80s and the 90s, by the way. Think about Hard Time. Like, they actually incorporated it at the beginning of the episode, but think about Frame of Mind, where Riker coming to terms of him being stuck in that play. Like, him coming to terms was a 20-second scene at the end where he's tearing down the set of that play that he was stuck in when he was being interrogated by those aliens. right?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, so this was 10 minutes that was drawn out. I honestly don't think that it was necessary.
They could have trimmed it up a little.
It felt long. It felt long. Now, I am not a fan of the psychological trauma, you know, mind, you know, body horror stuff that they were doing. I don't even know what the point was that they were trying to go for here. And in the end, we don't, and there are episodes that are unresolved, but this episode was super unexplained because we don't know what caused the Griffin to do what it did with the crew that is. We don't know why the Griffin is still functional. We don't even know if the entity that was personified by Harper, if was real or not. But at the very end, as Section 12 is towing out the Griffin, La'an is looking out and can see. By the way, it was a very well done shot and very creepy.
Yeah, this was a nice pullback.
A very, very, very good zoom into one of the windows in the saucer section of the Griffin, where you see this ghostly image of Harper. She's looking at the camera and she goes, like, all right, well done, but what was the point of that? Like, what was that? We have no idea. We had no indication.
This is going to spiral on. I think you're going to see her really start to spiral later this season.
I mean, okay. We've never seen such an unresolved episode where such trauma was undergone. You know, I think
really?
the worst trauma. But we actually had an explanation right there. Like, we had corporeal entities. Like, we could understand they were corporeal insects. They were bugs. They were a superior life form. And then they were written out because it was going to be a little too weird, right? That's fine. I'll give that a pass. We don't even know if it was ethereal or corporeal or non-corporeal or what. Like, this was weird. There was no explanation to it. We just know that the environment on the Griffin was wrong.
Yep.
And we don't know if it was externalized that infested the ship or if it was within the ship the entire time. Nothing. We have no explanation for it whatsoever. Just that Kirk was disembodying the ship. Well, people wanted to disembody each other. I don't know. It left a sour taste in my mouth. Anecdotally, this episode, a lot of people hated. Like, a lot of people liked the first episode of with the dinosaurs, but like, almost universally, the second episode was just like, no, it was completely rejected. Yeah, completely panned.
Oh,
and I think it was for that reason. It didn't feel like it had a point to it.
Well, fair enough. I guess we'll figure that out.
Again, yeah, you're right. I mean, it'll take time. What did you think of it? I'm throwing all that stuff out there, and I don't mean to sully your impression of everything. That's not my intention.
I thought it was decent. I mean, they definitely played into the psychological. Is it real? Is it not real? I thought there was pretty good black humor in it at times too. And the part where Jim is talking with who he thinks is Sam about what it's like, being a military kid, being a military parent, that's kind of the stuff that hits home for me. I know.
I think
my kid has a whole bunch of stuffed animals that have the names of various posts, not only that we were stationed at, but that I visited or was separately stationed at from them. And I would bring home one. my kid has a collection. Part of it was to bring her something, and other parts of it was, she also has some, and some like, here's some memories of like, this was this post, this was that post. I lived here, my dad went there. So it was just something different. But I get it. Bringing you a neat little toy doesn't make up for the time that's lost.
I don't want to dismiss that.
And I like my
sentiment
ears.
Because, yeah, I mean, well, that's the other thing. It's like, well, okay. So let me ask you this about the ear issue. Spock, let's just say Spock cut off his ears, right? To make himself look more human. Let's just say that he did it or whatever. And anymore. He has Nurse Chapel come to his quarters to put the points back on. But are they real tips or are they implant tips, if you will?
They're steak
so
tips.
Has Spock always had fake tip ears when we go into the TOS at that point? Like, I mean, seriously, those ears are the most iconic part of Star Trek, the original series. And this episode implies that those ears were fake.
Well, they could have done some sort of regrowing. They've done stuff like that in Star Trek.
In his quarters? In his quarters. Like I mean, it brought out the question of what his identity was, right? Like, is his identity a Vulcan represented by his ears? Well, he cut off his ears, but if he still feels Vulcan, why did he feel the necessity to restore his ears with artificial tips at that point? I mean, we don't know if they're artificial. We don't know if they're regrown biologically, which they potentially could have been. We don't know, but it was never said. She just repaired them. But we know what repaired means nowadays, and that it means, closing the opening and allowing the body to heal itself, with Neosporin and everything to prevent infection.
Sure, maybe they 3D printed it.
I mean, plausible, but not said. So that's a weird. Again, I don't know if it sounds like I'm nitpicking here.
No, what it sounds like is that you need to have both earbuds in because the other one keeps clicking in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. No, that would be annoying. Yeah, I'm sorry. Fix that one. Sorry, you should have told me that a while ago. I'm sorry.
The ears are good now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I mean, that was something that left me, chewing my cheek afterwards. Like, that feels weird. So, anyway, I am not inclined to watch this whole season. I got to be honest with you. If you see an episode where you're blown away and you tell me, Mack, you got to watch this episode, I will listen to you. I trust your opinion. You act like that every time I say that term.
So here's something I want to bring up that I noticed that I'm glad they did. Was Chapel was now no longer in that really awkward jumpsuit.
Oh, she was in a two-piece?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, well, she was barely in both episodes.
Yeah, still, it was a better look. And I think they've also, I mean, clearly they're not doing the super mini skirt that they did back in the 60s. Like, they've had, like, like some of the women's uniforms kind of are like longer shirts that go into like that kind of flare into a skirt, like where they're wearing
With
like
pants.
black pants. Yeah, it's definitely. I know they're trying to not drift too far off the marker, but
it's seen and it's stupid. Whatever. I don't care. They don't care. Like they're trying to do something. They're trying to do their own thing. I don't fucking care. It's their own.
I feel that Jess Bush is probably more comfortable in this new uniform.
I think anyone outside of One Piece is more comfortable. How do I say this? She looks great no matter what. And I don't mean that derogatorily. She's a good Nurse Chapel. There are episodes of her character that I vehemently disagree with, which I think you and I had a very vehement argument about 2 seasons ago, which is fine. But I think she's one of the brighter spots of this series, and whatever. I don't fucking care what she's wearing. Whatever.
I'm not saying I was staring at it. I just kind of noticed it, and I'm like, oh.
No, I'm not accusing you of that either. By the way,
and I actually glad they did it because one, it looks like it had to be more comfortable for the actress. 2, why was she the only one in a freaking banana suit?
Because she was the youngest of the cast, outside of Uhura. And Uhura was supposed to have the skirt is kind of thing. By the way, was the Vulcan in the first episode? Wasn't she supposed to be similar? I know she was another cadet, but wasn't she similar to the Vulcan in Lower Decks? Pretty much the same character, right? They were both the same character.
Yeah, but T'Lyn was way more interesting.
Not at first.
But still more interesting than this kid. This kid was just obnoxious. Like, she was the bad Vulcan. Like the one, and not like evil, but like just not good. Right? It's like where Vulcans are just like they're just so smug and douchey.
Yeah. And there is a way to play off being a Vulcan. And the problem was the writing for this Vulcan was bad. Yes. I point back to the Vulcan that was in Picard season 3 on the Titans bridge. That was a good Vulcan. She was perfect. That was the perfect way to play a Vulcan. Similar to Tim Russ.
Tim Russ was a good Vulcan.
Yeah. Tim Russ was a great Vulcan. I mean, but he knew the lore, you know. Yeah, no, I agree. I'll blame the director and the writer for this Vulcan and the actress that's dealing with it. So I didn't like her either, but by the way. So but
I know you're not supposed to, but like you could have done a better job with the character.
I mean, you're not. What do you mean you're not supposed to?
I mean, you know, the way she constantly undercut and kind of, you know, sniped at Uhura. For starters,
yeah.
Ensign or no, all right? Like when I was there's a program in the U.S. Army, Cadet Troop Leadership Training, where cadets go, you know, during one of the summers and they shadow an active duty lieutenant in the U.S. Army. If a cadet came to me and gave me that level of attitude, even as a brand new second lieutenant, that would not go well for that kid.
Mm-mm.
And if I had been a guy like that when I fought a lieutenant, I would have been smoked too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad look. For starters, I get the idea. The cadet, this is a Kurtzman thing. Cadet going to be on every starship now has to have a cadet on it, right? Because Nog did a good job on it. Now they're going to do the whole thing. Okay, fine. If that's what we're establishing for this time period, whatever. Don't be shitty about it. That's all I'm saying.
I can agree with that.
If a lieutenant, or even if one person walked by and heard basically how this fucking cadet was mouthing off to a commissioned officer, a real military would smoke that person pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that could mean very simply as a good dressing down. Vulcans, to do a good Vulcan, they don't have to be arrogant pricks.
They do not. No, they just have to be a little distant emotionally. That's it. They don't render judgment. That's the thing. But what this Vulcan did was she was rendering judgment, and that's the issue. That I think that's a writing issue too. So
yeah. So anyway,
but
I didn't mind this episode. I appreciate that while they're doing things like Star Trek, like you're investigating anomalies, you're checking out derelict ships, and there's a problem that's going to come with all of them, because you can't just have a day where nobody's doing anything except charting stars and having lunch, and that's it. And ain't going to sell the tickets, you know what I mean? There's got to be something that spins everything up. This gives me I think this was supposed to be their Amityville horror kind of episode.
Yeah. So another genre bending, another genre. Amityville horror, but in Star Trek, in space.
Look, I don't have a problem with them doing some things as long as they generally keep the Star Trek, idea there. Again, some of the gimmicky stuff can get a little out of hand when you only have 10 episodes. It's a little easier to take when you have another 10 episodes around it. But I didn't hate this episode. At times I thought it was actually pretty entertaining. In a creepy
I didn't
way.
like it. Yeah, I didn't like it.
I
What's
didn't
your
love
grade?
it. I liked the first episode better. I'd give this a B-.
Yeah, I'll put this as a C-. I just didn't think that I understood the direction that they were trying to go, but they didn't pull it off. And there were too many unresolved issues when it came to that. And I don't find that excusable.
Issues, if maybe the things come into play later.
Then why have an episode at all?
No, I mean, like, I do enjoy seeing growth in a character or change in a character, right? So if, like, particularly you see things in episodes 1 and 2 with La'an that leads you to think, is La'an either going to spiral down a path or something else, or she's going to, like, die heroically to prevent something, to keep, because she knows she's, doomed or something like that. Like, they're setting up more things with her. So either she's going to have this big come to a head at some point this season, or it's going to bleed into next year, and you're going to see she's going to disappear. That's why she's not when Kirk takes command. So I like things like that. I like that they are continuing some plot points. Like, you get to get inside the heads of the characters. Kirk's is a little less established per se because he's not a regular. But Spock's struggle with his Vulcan and human halves is something we've known all the way back since the 60s. So it's just another continuation. La'an, I've been seeing things kind of all the way back last year that kind of hinted, I think, at, is she developing some of these issues? Like when she was full kind of douchebag as a Vulcan, and her and Pike basically assume Romulan. It's like the aggressive strain of, her augment DNA put her down more the Romulan path.
I mean, agreed. But
it's not coming out of nowhere, which is good.
Well, I mean, the exploration of the characters isn't coming out of nowhere, no, but the antagonists that cause the explanation or the exploration is out of nowhere, and it's unresolved. So we don't know, like, it's an open-ended episode where they really had no explanation for why it happened at all. I mean, it happened, and there was a purpose to try to show that, but it wasn't explained. Or they didn't even explore how it possibly could have been a thing. They just let it be unresolved. And that's my issue. I don't like that. They just wanted to do something, and then they used the catalyst for it, but they didn't explain what the catalyst was. That's an issue.
I guess we'll see if this comes back around at all.
Like postmodern Prometheus in the X-Files. That was fully explained. That was a very gimmicky episode. By the way, completely non-PC nowadays, but do you know what I'm talking about? Which episode? The one with Cher?
Nope.
It was all an X-Files episode shot in black and white. All right, well, whatever. It was done really well. Jay Peterman from Seinfeld was in it.
Yep. He's a graduate of my alma mater.
Yeah, PC. What? Shit. BC.
Dude, you got to be more PC with your language, okay?
I have to be a lot. I know. I have to do that a lot.
All right, take us out. We're dying here.
So, until
take
the
us
next
out,
time.
Mr. Sulu.
Sulu fires the weapons. Oh no, he does pilot the ship. That was a reference to Marvel Comics with Spider-Man saying, "Fire the weapons, Mr. Sulu," and Doom corrects him, going, "Sulu pilots the ship." You know. All right. Until the next time, everybody. You guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. I don't know when we'll be back, if we'll be back at all, but so long, everybody.
You are off your game. I'm DT Cavman, and hopefully we'll see you on the high ground. Otherwise, somebody here may be in a straight jacket. We'll see you next week.
As always.
Mack's got a pen that can warp the stars. DT's got stories from cavalry scars. One writes the worlds where the heroes fly, the other roll tanks under desert sky. From sandbox sports to the final frontier, two kids with dreams and a six-pack of beer. Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the streetlights spark. We read those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cannon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters of books, we geek to the core, laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Mack spins a tale about a rogue AI. DT counters with, man, I drove that guy. From doom to doom, we argue the stakes while the coffee gets cold and the pizza box breaks. Childhood pals in a grown-up fight for the best damn death scene on a Friday night. Pixels or pages, we're never done. Two working stiffs chasing alien sun. We're in those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT cabin lighting up the airwaves. Blasters and books, we're geek to the core, laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Yeah, yeah. No powers, just regular days, but we'll save the galaxy in our own ways. Max drafting novels in the dead of night. DT's got tank tracks, turns them into light. Together we're louder than a hyperdrive scream. Two regular dudes living the sci-fi dream. Yeah, we're with those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT coming lighting up the airwaves. From the sandbox to the stars, we'll never say die. Tune in, geek out, those sci-fi guys.
Next week, Blade Runners or replicants? Bring the Bourbon Rider boys, gonna get real.